And I was moved to write my second book, which Mike kindly mentioned. Have you read The Lorax by Dr. Seuss? Dr. Seuss was a huge leftist.
And he admitted that was a piece of propaganda.
Of the Socialist Party, like Bernie Sanders, he was a lifelong socialist, and he fills his children's books with socialist lessons for your kids. The Lorax was his environmentalist book. It is about an evil capitalist called the Onceler, who cuts down trees and makes consumer goods, and we are taught that that is bad, bad, bad. He drives the trees to extinction. He wipes them out, they become extinct, and then he goes out of business because there's no more trees. And I read this to my kids. I said, does that make sense to you? Do you think that capitalists destroy species that their business depends on? Do you think that Colonel Sanders is going to drive the chicken to extinction? You ever worry about the Colonel Sanders will throw every last chicken into the fryer and they'll become extinct and they'll go out of business? I think it's exactly the opposite. I think Colonel Sanders cares more about the survival of the chicken species than anybody on the planet, including the chickens. He's got billions of dollars wrapped up in this. There will always be more chickens as long as Colonel Sanders has anything to say about it.
Weyerhaeuser plants more trees than it harvests.
Moreover, there are more chickens alive today than ever before in the history of the world. Do you know why? Because we like to eat them. That's why. The greatest thing that ever happens to a species is that human beings like to eat you. This is like winning the species lottery. Chickens, cows, wheat, corn, pick your species. We clear millions of acres just for you. We keep the predators away. We feed you. If you get sick, we bring in doctors for you. What other species gets that? So this was a book that desperately needed to be parodied. Mine is called The Gorax because it stars Al Gore as the Lorax character. And I am very happy to introduce, I think for the first time in Massachusetts, my latest book. Who has read The Wizard of Oz? Mine is called, I wanted to write something specifically about the 2016 election. Mine is called The Wizard of Iz. It's obviously a parody of The Wizard of Oz. And my first thought was that Bill Clinton made a really great wizard. Okay? The wizard, as you will recall, is a charlatan. It's all fake. It's all smoke and mirrors. I thought that Bill Clinton fit the role to a T. When they first meet him in my book, they say, "Are you the Wizard of Iz?" He says, "It all depends on your definition of Iz." And Hillary is the witch. And I turned Dorothy into a time traveler. Well, I went a little bit of literary license. In my book, the tornado blows Dorothy out of 1900, because that's when Franklin Roosevelt was. She gets blown into the 2016 election. Her house lands on Obama, and she finds herself in the land of the free lunchkins, who have been living off the government for so long, they've forgotten how to take care of themselves. And I wanted to make this a parable about everything I see going on in our country today. So you may recall the scarecrow doesn't have a brain. My scarecrow has 14 graduate degrees, but they're all in left-wing claptrap. He's got degrees in women's studies and gender studies and ethics, and he knows nothing. He keeps going back to graduate school, doesn't help. And my Tin Man's a businessman, and he doesn't like paying taxes. And his friends say, well, you don't have a heart. If you had a heart, you would enjoy paying taxes. So he's looking for a heart so he can enjoy paying taxes. And then there was a cowardly lion, remember? Yeah. I replaced him with a cowardly rhino who suspects that the Democrats are up to no good, but he's scared to do anything about it. So he's looking for the courage to actually do something useful once he gets to Washington. So they go off, they destroy the witch. You gotta have to see the page. The wisdom of our founding fathers destroys the witch, and they all go back to get their problem solved. And the scarecrow learns that you don't learn by listening to some Marxist professor who's never done anything in his life. You learn by doing. You do stuff, you learn to do it better. And the Tin Man learns that you don't help the poor when you pay taxes, because government is in the business of making poor people poorer. That's what government does. You help the poor when you produce. Who feeds the poor? The guy printing food stamps in Washington? Or the farmer growing the food? And that leaves us with the cowardly rhino who's looking for courage, and Dorothy wants to go home, which is 1900. And if I may, I will end and just read you the conclusion of the book. I like my conclusions. And apparently so does Mike. Mr. Rhino, said the wizard after thinking a spell, I do know your problem, and the solution as well. I'm going to let you in on a secret so great that very few know it, even at the top of the state. The voters don't want something in between me and you. They want passion and vision and principles too. They want someone to lead us out of the stew that Obama has made and dragged us all through. If you cling to the principles of freedom and right, you'll inspire the country with a resurgence of light. The most successful of leaders know right from wrong. They don't split the difference, and in the right they stand strong. It's because you've been trying to straddle midway that the Dems can define you. You're extreme, they all say. Only political operatives are afraid of someone who stands firmly on the just course he has laid. I feel ready to fight, said the Rhino, for what made us great, for the principles we must return to before it's too late. And if you lose, asked the wizard, looking almost sublime, then I'll fight even harder for those same principles next time. You can't change what is right based on some focus group. If we all give our all, our loss will recoup. I don't mind waiting for the voters to catch up to me. If I stand for what's right, they'll all come to see. And then the wizard turned slowly to where Dorothy stood. I really want to try and show you some good, but you can't return to the past. Nobody ever could. There, my darling, she was starting to sob. There is more I must tell you. You have the hardest job. Do you believe in Karl Marx and what he had to say? Certainly not, said Dorothy. He was wrong in every way. That's good, said the wizard, because he's the only one to claim that history moves one way, just like the sun. The fact is, there is absolutely no reason at all you can't renew the principles that made America stand tall. George Washington didn't have to accept British kings, and Lincoln turned slavery into an historical thing. You can learn from history, not turn back the clock. Apply the lessons of Paine, Hume, and John Locke to the age that we live in. Millions already agree. You can make your own world. You can do it. You'll see. And the history books, someday they will cite you, just like the heroes that you look up to. And I'm skipping a little bit for clarity. With a wink and a nod, he was gone out the door, leaving our friends to ponder their chore. Could they turn around the country? Is it a job they could do? Could they stand up for freedom? How about you? And that is the conclusion. They make cool gifts, you know, for conservative people, if you know any. I also, by the way, have my seminar on economic literacy on DVD now. If you're interested, I'd be happy to get you that. And I guess we're there. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.